Welcome to the Opinionated Prepper. I'm Steve, and I'm back at least for a day or so. How are you guys doing? You're looking good. I missed you. Come here, give us a kiss. I want to start off by saying I kind of want to change things up a little bit. Do something new, if you will. And if you like it, if you'd rather have it this way, do me a favor. Leave a comment down. Let me know if it's okay or if you want me to go back to the way it was or keep searching for stuff. How are you guys doing? I know I kind of left abruptly for a little bit of a hiatus, but kind of felt like I needed to. I needed to take a break, needed to take a pause, rethink the channel, and things are going to be a little bit different going forward, and I'll get into that later. I wanted to start today. I had plans on starting today, and it just so happened that today probably wasn't a good day to start. I was going to get into the debacle, the stuff going on in the Mid-East. But as I go and look, when I had the idea and I started, not very many people were talking about anything other than the biblical aspects of what was going on. They weren't really looking at the world view when it comes to defense, when it comes to finances, global economy, supply shortage, when it comes to stock market, anything like that. Rising inflation, interest rates. You know, people weren't really talking about that. But as the day progressed, it seems like everybody's talking about it. But there's one thing that I discovered a few years ago. Because of my location, I know Albert Pike intimately. I know him well, unfortunately. I know his history. I know everything like that. You know, he's kind of a big deal in my area. And I remember a few years ago, I came across something, and I'll read it out to you. You know, this comes from, don't really look at the site, but Conspiracy Archive, if you want to take a look at that. But in 1871, he wrote a letter to Manzini, and he was talking about prophesying, pretty much telling him the plans that the Illuminati, if you will, or the Freemasons had for the world. And, you know, we know about World War I, we know about World War II, but for the Third World War, he wrote about three. This is a quote coming straight from it. Now, to give a little bit of history, I believe it was until 1977, I think, that this letter that Albert Pike wrote to Manzini, it was on display in British Museum, and then they took it down. And I think now they're saying that they're just denying it completely. But it was up until then, so over 100 years that it was in there. But to read an excerpt, primarily on the Third World War. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, delusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Now, if you don't really know much about Albert Pike, he was a 33rd degree Mason, and he wrote Morals and Dogma. That's an interesting read. I suggest you read it. It'll kind of, pardon the pun, illuminate you. But I wanted to bring that up, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Now, people are looking at the biblical, and you have some people saying, well, on the timeline, we're not there yet because many, many things need to happen before all of this happens, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get extremely into it. It might be something that I get into on a walk through wisdom or on my Sunday sermons. I could possibly do that. I don't want to get into it very much. It's the whole Israel thing. People are just beating it into the ground, and I'm afraid that so many people are going to hear about it and hear about it and hear about it that they're just going to get desensitized and shut it off, and then they'll get caught by surprise. Because this has the potential to do what Ukraine and Russia couldn't do, to culminate into a world war, where it's happening on every continent. Not just the Middle East, not just in the East where Russia and Ukraine are centered. This could be happening in every corner of the globe to make it physically the first world war where fighting is in every square inch. This has the potential to do that. I don't want to really say all of this was planned because there's so many conspiracy theories. It's just, things don't add up to me. But who am I? I'm not really going to get much into it. I want to say real quick, one of the reasons that I left for a small amount of time, for a couple of weeks, was because of all of this, the fear mongering. The fear porn and the anxiousness that content creators like myself, like others that I watch, we seem to just be dishing out time after time after time. I started to feel anxious, started to feel like I needed to stock up more, train more, prepare myself more, hoard more, panic buy, because I was doing so much research into news and connecting dots and seeing this and seeing this and seeing this. And I was on social media, which is, I'm ashamed, I really need to admonish myself. I really need to pray for forgiveness because I hate social media. But I was, to try and keep up, to try and bring good content to you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. But all I was doing was falling in the same trap of fear mongering. What's going to happen today? What's going to happen 2 days from now? In 3 days, this is supposed to happen. At the beginning of the month, oh no, what are we going to do? Our phones are going to go off with a little tiny annoying beep and a text message, and it's going to destroy us all, and it can mean very terrible stuff. And once I started seeing that, and seeing that even my favorite content creators were falling right into that trap, to get clicks and to get views and all, I needed to take a break. I needed to step back. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I'm not in the same boat as the other content creators. This is a hobby for me. It's not an income. It's not a revenue. I don't depend on it to feed my family, to pay my bills. So I can say what I want to say. I can quit when I want to quit. I can come back when I come back. I don't care about the algorithm. I don't care about the YouTube overlords, and I don't have to just parade myself around and put on a show to get more views and more likes and more clicks and subscribes. I don't have to do it. I'm not looking down on the other content creators, but I unsubscribed to a whole lot of them because it was just spewing the same fear, the same worry, trying to sell you a bill of goods about what could be coming and what's right around the corner. And every single one was doing the same thing. I needed to take a time out. I also had a whole lot of unfinished projects that I needed. Like in the last couple of weeks, man, I have backup solar lighting in my house now. I have solar night lighting in my house now. I ran solar to my chicken coop, which got me some strange looks. But again, with the fear mongering, this is supposed to be a pretty rough winter. And if the power goes out, I don't want my chickens freezing to death. So I ran solar. But it's got a battery backup. I can hook up to my generator. I can hook up to my car just in case we're not getting much sun. So my chicks are nice and safe. You know, I did things like re-itemizing my stores and my stocks and my supplies and finding out exactly how many meals I have for 8 people that I'm taking care of, you know, and roughly roundabout how many calories, because I don't stay on just that basic minimum. I make sure we have at least that much, but generally it's quite a bit more, you know, and things that needed to get done. I also had to do a little bit of a Zen moment and get my peace of mind back. The reason I started preparing in the first place was so I didn't feel like I had to run out and panic buy, and I didn't feel like I had to run and hoard stuff, and I had to hurry up and get the last before it's too late, because I'll never get it again, and I don't want to be in the same boat. That's why I started preparing. I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be able to sit back calmly while the whole world is going to crap and say, I got this. My family's taken care of. But because of all of the news and because of me trying to chase views and chase likes and talk about the trending topics, I started to get anxious and I started to feel the need, and I lost that peace of mind. The reason I began to prep in the first place. So that's the main reason. Now I'm hoping that this new layout, this medium, if you will, with a podcast, I'm hoping it'll be easier for me, but I'm hoping it'll be more aesthetically pleasing to you guys. I know that there were a few complaints about the night vision filter being a little bit hard to watch, and people were losing interest in everything. You know, as I said, if you don't mind, put a comment down below. Tell me if you like this one better, if you would rather have it this way, you want me to go back, or you want me to continue looking for another layout. I'd appreciate it. Now when it comes to Israel, again, man, I don't want to talk a whole lot about it. I'm not going to get into the biblical like I said, but I think it's something that you really, really have to take seriously. I know people are beating it into the ground, but you have no idea what's going to happen around the corner. And I'm not talking about being prepared and buying up and stocking up and everything like that. I'm talking about keeping your butt safe, completely and utterly. I'm talking about, I had a feeling, and I'm not the only one, that this was planned and this was part of the plan. I had a feeling that they were going to try and use a world war like this to pull us out of the Depression, because a lot of numbers show up, and we have it worse now than they had in the Great Depression, where our income and the cost of living is worse now than what it was during the Great Depression. We are in a depression. We're in a time of hyperinflation. This war that's going on can see extreme hyperinflation and everything just blow up. It can melt up and then crash down. Our supply line can be completely wiped out. We can be having terrorist activity right around the corner from us. And I have a feeling that's the way they wanted it. That this could be the culmination, the start, and the origin of the real hot war. And Ukraine and Russia will just go away miraculously. But that's all I want to say about that. I hope you guys at least keep apprised of the situation that's going on there. At least keep it open that right now, at this point in time, anything can happen, and we can see a whole lot of bad actors going on. And if you believe in the conspiracies and you believe about the whole thing was planned 200 years ago, you know, give Albert Pike a read, because it seems like he knows what he was talking about. When I come back, I'll end up doing the walk through wisdom. I'll end up doing the Sunday sermons, and hopefully bringing something of value once or twice a week. I wanted this channel to be about tips and tricks, how-tos, hacks, making life easier, maybe bringing something up that you guys haven't really thought about. You know, you didn't see it in that way, or it's a good idea and you didn't really think about it, you know, and all that. That's what I wanted this channel to be. I didn't want to get around the news, and that's the way that I'm going to take it back to. I'm going to preach like I believe the Father has called me to do, and I'm going to try and add some value to your lives and mine. I'm not quite sure how long it'll take to button up all of the projects that I have, but I'll continue to get on periodically. You guys at least deserve that, and God willing, we'll see you soon.